All right. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm Kristen Jurevich and I'm with the amazing lender, Rashel Yadegari. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hope you all are doing great. And thank you, Kristen, for having me. Excited to partner with you.
Of course, I had to turn to a top lender to help talk about how to buy a home. So we have a couple things we want to go over. So just bear with me. I'm going to share my screen over here. And make sure we're all ready to go. There you go. Do you see that? That big old cheesy smile, right? Here we go. So welcome once again on this beautiful Wednesday that we have. We're all thankful that we're here. And today we're going to talk about how to buy a home. And in case you don't know who I am, I'm Kristen Jurevich with Intero, and I'm a second-generation realtor. So you know that it's in my DNA to get things closed, right? To get those properties closed. I have over 12 years experience in real estate. I graduated from San Francisco State University with a Bachelor's of Science in Interior Design. So you bet your bottom that I am going to make sure your home is in tip-top shape when it's for sale. And just a little bit about me. I was actually born in San Jose and raised in Hollister. I'm a Hollister gal, and I am a track and field athlete of the year in college. So you know that I'm competitive, and I'm going to see through all these transactions from start to finish. So here we are, Miss Rashel. You want to talk about a little highlights of yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for those of you who don't know me, again, my name is Rashel Yadegari. I very, close to Kristen in the sense we're born and raised in a family of bankers and lenders. So it became very naturally to me, which is exciting. Some fun facts. I always like to say I'm a recovering coffee addict. That's probably what I enjoy the most these days. I feel like it's the fuel that keeps me going. I'm definitely passionate about just helping people out. I've always had a heart of service, and as a Rotarian, we believe in service before self. So that's something that's really near and dear to me. And in our industry, it's all about making dreams a reality. And to me, that never gets old. And so I'm excited to say I've been in the industry about 20 years, love working with Prosperity. We're Intero's in-house lender, but available to help all clients across, California and even in surrounding states as well. So born and raised in the Bay Area. I'm a big social media fan. So for those of you who are not connected with me, please find me on Instagram, Facebook. Would love to stay in touch with you. But again, both Kristen and I are excited to be here and hope that you walk away today with a lot of good value and nuggets, and that we partner with you. So thank you.
Oh, that's great. And I commend you for service above self, right? That's all that we try to do in our industry.
Absolutely.
So today, here's a little snapshot of what we're going to be talking about. And we want to make sure you fully understand the difference between being pre-qualified and pre-approved. So Rashel is going to walk us through that. We're going to go in a little more detail of what is a pre-approval and how can you get a pre-approval letter today. And of course, the big topic of buying a home is how much money are we going to need? So that's something that Rashel and I were going to kind of demystify for you, so you know how much you need in order to buy a house in today's market. We'll also talk about how to find the perfect home and a few things to expect. And also we're going to talk about how to make an offer, a competitive offer, especially in this very hot real estate market. So we want to make sure your offer wins. So we have some tips and tricks for you coming up. So I'm going to let Rashel take this lead right here.
Great. Well, one of the hot topics that comes up often in the first step is really, what do I need to do to be able to purchase a home? And the difference between getting pre-qualified versus a pre-approval. And I'll dive into that. A pre-qualification is really just simply a conversation a lender's having with the client to get a good understanding about your employment, background, your income information, your credit. Are you looking to apply, for the loan by yourself? Is there somebody who else is going to be joining you? In essence, it's an understanding for me as a lender to find out a little bit about you as the borrower.
Perfect.
At the end of the day, though, a pre-qualification, and Kirsten could speak for this, doesn't mean much, because in order to be able to actually make an offer or look into a home in today's market during COVID, we need a pre-approval. Is that kind of what you're finding on your end?
Absolutely. We could say, oh yes, our client's pre-approved or pre-qualified, but they really want to see that pre-approval letter.
Yep. So that's where we come into play as far as myself as a lender. And a pre-approval is where I'm actually going through and having you complete an application. It's an online application, so it's user-friendly, probably takes you about 10-15 minutes, and I'll ask you for some specific documentation to review. For the most part, those are some general documents that you have handy, but it's typically your last 2 years of W-2s, last 2 years of tax returns, most recent pay stub, and most recent bank asset statements. And the reason for this is we're going to review your credit, and I'm going to review your income information to be able to see what you could exactly qualify for. The one thing that I always like to share with clients is, most importantly, it's not so much how much you qualify for, but really how much you could afford. And what do I mean by that? I, as the lender, may come back to you and say, you know what, based on your current scenario, you're qualified to go up to a $2 million price point or purchase price. And I go over the specifics of what that looks like as an estimated monthly payment. And you're like, yeah, actually not too comfortable with that from an affordability standpoint. And so for that, I'm going to find out, and that's where we're going to partner together and see what's your sweet spot. What are you comfortable with as far as an affordability? And that way we'll know to be able to relay back to Kirsten, okay, this is what we're comfortable with. Maybe it's a $1.5 million purchase price is the max that we're comfortable with, or whatever that scenario looks like for you. But what's exciting is once you get pre-approved, I can then relay back a pre-approval letter. Mm-hmm. And what that tells us is you're able to purchase a home up until this certain dollar amount. Now, what's unique is right now during COVID, most sellers are not allowing you to walk into a home without that pre-approval letter. So here's
exactly.
Thank you for sharing. So
we're ready to go. I'm ready.
Exactly. This is just a sample one that we have here, and gives you an idea of what that looks like. Has your name, and it has the property, typically the address. In this case, I have a TBD, and why do I have that? So we're going to dive into this a little bit later. I know Kirsten touched on that as far as some tips and trades that we have put into place to make sure that your offer is accepted. But the thing that we like to do that's really strategic is not to be able to offer a blanket pre-approval letter initially to be able for you to make an offer. This is simply just for you in your eyes. And again, we'll dive into that a little bit later, but this is what it looks like. This gives you an opportunity to see how much or how high you can go as far as a purchase price and the loan amount. And it gives us an idea as far as the loan type and program and so forth.
Perfect. That's great. And yes, every home that we go to, we pretty much have to sign the entry form for COVID-19 as well as provide a pre-approval letter. So we don't want you to be alarmed by that. It's just an industry standard, and that's where your professionals, your team is here to help you walk through that process. So another thing that we have to talk about is just how do we save up for expenses and what to expect. So Rachel's going to touch on a couple loans to give you an idea that you don't just need 20% down payment.
Wonderful. Thank you. Absolutely. I think that one of the big myths we hear from buyers is, do I need to have 20% to purchase a home? And you don't. That's what's exciting. So we have programs with as little as nothing down, as far as if we have VAs, any veterans out there. We also have down payment assistance programs with CalHAFA is one of the programs that we work with. First-time buyer programs with as little as 3% down for a conventional loan. and offering still FHA loans out there with as little as 3.5%. So don't feel like, you're not able to purchase a home if you don't have 20% down. Reach out to us. That's what we're here for. We're here to sit down with you and partner with you and find out what it is that we are able to do to help you get into that home.
Yes. Great. So what we're going to need once you have an offer that's accepted, you will have to place an initial deposit on the property, and that is going towards your down payment and closing costs that you have to come in with right before closing. So your initial deposit could be about 3% of the purchase price, but it depends on the market, the area that you're purchasing. So knowing the local customary needs or even the listing agent's expectations, that is one way you will get an offer accepted. So as your agent, that's where I have a conversation with the listing agent on what is the seller expecting and how could we get our offer accepted. So that makes the difference between agents, because we are self-employed and we do have different ways we approach things. So that's one of my tips and tricks that I use. So we'll have our initial deposit, but then we also need to go through our due diligence and inspect the property. And sometimes Rachel's going to close her ears because she doesn't want to hear about inspections, but I want to make sure that you have enough time and an opportunity to inspect the property to your fullest satisfaction. So you can get a general home inspection, a pest inspection, a roof inspection, and you can do any number of trade inspections that are of concern to you, such as the foundation, soil, mold. We don't even like saying that M word, but you can do that. So really anything that you want to be completed, and of course, this is customary for different markets on how to approach this, but you may be having to pay out of pocket, and it's non-refundable, those inspection costs. So I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware that that's an extra fee that you might not have expected to pay for in the beginning. But sometimes the seller provides that information for you, so that's always nice, but you can always get a second opinion as well. So another cost that will come once we're accepted and in contract is the appraisal fee. And VA, they sometimes waive the appraisal fee or they build that into the loan. So that's one cost that you're saving being a veteran. And as far as the cost of an appraisal, it definitely ranges. If you need it on a rush, which in our market, sometimes we have to pay a little extra to get it rushed, but it is a cost that's non-refundable, but it's expected to be paid for by the buyer. So the next item that we're going to talk about when you would like to buy a home is finding the home. So now that you have all the information on how to be pre-approved and what to expect financially, we have to kind of set the emotional expectation, right, Rachel?
It is very much an emotional transaction, absolutely.
Yes, and we are with you every step of the way, from beginning all the way to the end and even beyond. So a big thing about buying a home is trying to figure out what you want and need for you personally and your family. Are you going to have multi-generations living in your property? Do you need an office? Do you need an extra den for your children who are doing a social or virtual learning at this time? Do you want a pool because you're home? Do you want space because you want to be out of the city so you can kind of have some elbow room and you're not right up against each other due to COVID-19? These are all things that we're going to talk about. So that will help me find the correct home for you, because our inventory is extremely low right now. As Rachel knows, it's tight. Like, not a lot of people are selling because they have their reservations regarding COVID-19. They just don't know what to expect in the future or their job, so they haven't really made a move. So that has tightened our inventory. So when we see a home that pops up on the market and there's interest there, you have to be ready to make a decision. And I've even had the first home that I've showed buyers, they love that property, But they're hesitant. Well, we want to see more. We don't know if this is the right one, but we feel like it is. You just have to say, this is going to work for me and my family, so we need to make that happen. So when that opportunity comes, we have to be well prepared to make the right offer. And also, before or once we're out looking at properties, as I mentioned before, you'll have to sign a COVID-19 entry form, just stating that you are not knowingly going into a property when you've been exposed. There's about 5 pages with that, and you also have to wear a mask and sanitizing gloves. Sometimes you have to wear booties or take off your shoes to enter the property, but these are all things that we're just trying to follow, all these restrictions, to make sure that we can still sell real estate in this unique market that we're in. And of course, when you find the right home, you want to make sure you pay the correct value. And one thing is just learning about local market stats. And that's where I work with you, and I will provide you comparables, as well as I'll give you a market snapshot of this area. In San Jose, it's the Willow Glen area, and you can kind of get your expectations wrapped around this. And it's good to also know this for the lending side too, because I'm gonna have to tell Rashel, hey, can we close loans in less than 30 days? It's really competitive out there. So how quickly can you turn this transaction around, as well as the real estate side? And that's why it's really important for you as a buyer to have all your information over to Rashel, so she can say, yes, I have everything ready to go. I can give you a quick turnaround time to get disclosures out to you, to get the appraisal ordered, because that's really going to also set the pace of the transaction. So when you walk into this market and you see it's a seller's market, you might not get the property for 50 grand less or 100 grand less. You might be saying, okay, I'm going to have to figure out what the seller wants and needs before we can just get into contract. So that's why communication is key between myself and the listing agent and our lender, Rashel, to make sure everyone's on the same page to hit timelines correctly. So this is a big indicator that the seller's probably going to get what they want on the market if it's priced right. And then as you can see here, the days on market or the list price has definitely like went down and it's gone up and it's kind of going down again. So I can do this for any market, so you kind of have an expectation of what to expect and if what's a good deal compared to you, for you and the market. All right, so making an offer, and I know we touched on a couple of these things, but we want to write an offer based on customary terms. And that also has to deal with how to fill out the contract correctly, who pays for what. Of course, you as a buyer don't want to have to pay for more things than what you have to, but there's county transfer tax, city transfer tax, who pays for it, the seller, the buyer, is it split? Every county's different. And as far as doing inspections, as we've already talked about, have they already been provided? Do you want to include any on the contract? But I'm going to tell you no, because Rashel doesn't want to see a copy of those inspections. Otherwise, lenders can ask you to make repairs before closing. And we're also going to have Rashel talk about one little tip here about calling the listing agent on your behalf.
Thank you. Yeah. So one of the things that excites me is I know that we're trying to save our buyers as much money as possible too. So yes, when we're writing up the offer, one thing that I always offer that all lenders don't, and so know that that's one of the things where we talk a lot about, it matters who you work with. Working with the top agent like Kristen or myself as the lender, we have things in place to be able to help ensure you're saving the most amount of money, that your offer is accepted. And one of the things when we're writing the offer is I don't want to provide a blanket pre-approval letter. So earlier we showed you a sample that had the TBD address. Again, that's for your eyes to know how much you're pre-approved for. But when we're ready to write an offer, I'm going to tailor a specific offer letter with the address and the exact offer amount. So for example, we're making an offer at 123 Elmer Street for $900,000. You know that you can go up to 1.2. We never want the seller to know you can go up to 1.2 because it doesn't give us a lot of negotiation power. They're already going to know you can go up higher. So if you need 10 different letters, you're making 10 different offers, it's a competitive market, I'm happy to provide that. Just takes me a couple minutes to do that. But again, we have your best interest top of mind. And with that, after an offer is made, I'm going to go ahead and contact that listing agent. This is an opportunity for me to simply introduce myself. A lot of times people recognize my name and recognize Prosperity's name. I've been in the industry for 20 years. I can proudly say I've never closed a deal late. And so with that, a lot of times a seller is going to hear that. They're going to recognize Prosperity's credibility. We're one of the largest mortgage companies out there. It may move the needle of getting that offer accepted. It also gives me a chance to share what a phenomenal buyer you are. So it's a general overview of letting them know you're a strong borrower, strong credit. We'd love to get into escrow with you. I'm here to help answer any questions for you or the sellers. I'm available 7 days a week. And again, the sellers and the listing agent love hearing that. They want a lender who they know is going to be responsive, is going to be easy to do business with. Kristen mentioned it earlier, someone who's going to make sure we're on top of timelines, I'm ordering appraisal, that I'm making sure things are happening when they should be, and that everyone's in communication. So it's really key for us to have that communication line open between us. And again, that's one of the things that's part of that making offer stage, where I'm going to help out just partnering in on that moment. So thanks again for letting me share.
Absolutely. Wow. So we just talked about so many things to get you started with buying a home. And once we are in contract, that is like a whole other video that I do have available for you. And I will also be doing some more live ones coming up about the home buying process once we're in contract. So if you have any more questions, feel free to send me a message and I'll be happy to send you the private link with a 20-minute video on the buying process once we're in contract, because right now I'm pretty sure you're overwhelmed with some of the details that we already gave you, right? So what you've been seeing here, all these gorgeous, gorgeous photos throughout this presentation, is from a new listing in Willow Glen at 1602 Hicks Avenue. So I want to share with you some beautiful details of the property in case you or someone you know might be looking for a home in San Jose.
Willow Glen, the place to be. That's a hot, hot area right now.
Absolutely. Willow Glen is about 65,000 people.
Hi, I'm Kristen Jurevich with Intero, and welcome to 1602 Hicks Avenue in beautiful Willow Glen. Take a peek inside.
This property is 2127 square feet. It's 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2-story. It also has an attached 2-car garage, and the lot size is 5,307 square feet. We have the beautiful updated kitchen, granite slab countertop, tile black backsplash, under cabinet lighting. We have hardwood floors throughout the home. So now we enter the downstairs full bathroom and bedroom. There's also a second bedroom downstairs. And then there's also 2 bedrooms and a full bathroom located upstairs. It is really just a perfect place to be. Relaxing, quiet, and only a mile from downtown Willow Glen. So if you know anyone who's thinking about purchasing in the Bay Area or beyond, please talk to Kristen Jurevich and Rashel. That just makes me want to buy a house. It gets me so excited, so emotional.
That was a beautiful home. I mean,
is
just layout.
Stunning.
Yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
It's stunning. So just a little reminder why we want to buy a house. It builds wealth. You're going to have equity in your home eventually if you just keep holding on to it for years and years to come, or sell it. We'd be there to help you when you need to move and buy your next dream property. Don't forget about your tax deduction that you get on your property. Those are some benefits. And remember, you deserve it. Californians work hard, and you deserve a nice place for yourself, your family, and a nice lifestyle that you just want to come home to work, or you want to wake up and walk down the hallway to your office during this time. So definitely want to thank you all for joining, and thank you, Rashel, for being on here. You are a fantastic loan officer, and I look forward, the continued success that we have together.
I really appreciate you for having me and partnering with you all today. Just a friendly reminder, you may have some offline questions specific to your scenario. Feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to set up a one-on-one meeting with you all. We could do it over the phone, via Zoom, however you prefer, but we're here to support you all. And again, if you haven't heard already, the market is on fire. Rates are record lows. We haven't seen these in decades. Who knows if we're ever going to see rates like these in the 2s again. It's a great time to leverage, build in, that legacy for you and your family. If you're a renter, stop paying your landlord's mortgage.
I know.
We'll be able to help you with that. So reach out to us.
Wonderful. Thanks again, and have a great rest of the week.
Have a great day, everyone. Take care. Thanks again.
Thanks.